Most of us treat AI like a high-tech typewriter. We sit down, we stare at a blank screen, and we start from scratch every single time.
Right.
We type out a prompt, we get an answer, and then the moment we close the window, the AI forgets we ever existed. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if the system could actually remember how you work?
Yeah, that's the fundamental shift we're dissecting today. We are moving away from treating artificial intelligence as just a simple tool you command and transforming it into a system you collaborate with on a daily basis.
Welcome to today's deep dive. If you're listening to this, you probably use AI to, summarize articles or maybe draft emails. But our mission today is highly practical and honestly a lot more ambitious. We are moving completely away from asking single task questions.
All right, the single task mindset is what we're breaking.
Exactly. Instead, we're going to build what we're calling a personal Claude OS. And that means a reusable operating system for your work. We'll map out the 5 distinct layers of this OS, explore the complete tool map, including how it physically interacts with your files.
And ultimately, we'll show you how to build a daily automated routine that routes your tasks before you even wake up.
It's a complete structural change in how you interact with information. It's about building a foundation that scales with your ambition rather than, bottlenecking at your keyboard.
Definitely. It completely flips the dynamic.
Let's start with the core problem, right? The reason we need this OS in the first place. Beginners usually make the exact same mistake. They use Claude for single, isolated tasks.
Yeah, like rewrite this paragraph or summarize this long email thread.
Right. And honestly, that works perfectly fine until the volume of your work scales up.
Because single tasking violently breaks down when projects get complex. I mean, imagine a real content creation workflow or running daily business operations. If you don't have an operating system in the AI, you are essentially carrying the entire architecture of that system in your own head.
You become the memory drive.
Exactly. You become the ultimate bottleneck. Every time you open a new chat, you're constantly pasting the same background files. You're explaining the same context over and over.
You keep reminding the AI about your strict output rules.
Yes. Every day feels like Groundhog Day. It is cognitively exhausting for the human, and honestly, it makes the AI's final output wildly inconsistent.
So the solution is this personal Claude OS. It acts as a persistent structure.
Right. It gives the AI a clear, permanent understanding of your role, your specific goals, your foundational documents, and your exact output standards.
It stops being a fresh conversation and becomes a repeatable foundation. And from what I understand, setting this up now is actually preparing us for an even bigger technological leap on the horizon.
It absolutely is. It prepares you for what's known as Claude Code.
Which, for those who might not know, is when the AI will eventually work directly with your local files, right? Like executing terminal commands on your machine.
Precisely. But before you let an autonomous AI touch your actual files or execute commands, you need rock-solid logic. You need highly organized context.
The OS provides that foundation.
Yeah, this operating system provides that necessary foundation. But we do have to state a crucial caveat right up front. No matter how good this system gets, human judgment remains absolutely vital. You must review anything important before publishing or sending.
Always keep your hands on the wheel. Beat. I have a vulnerable admission to make here. Even knowing all of this, I still wrestle with stuffing way too much context into a fresh chat myself.
Oh, we all do it.
I had a total disaster just last week. I dumped all my emails, my tone guides, and a highly technical project spec into one giant prompt window and asked it to draft a sensitive update for my boss.
Uh-oh. Let me guess. It lost the plot.
Completely.
Yeah.
The AI got so incredibly confused by the noise that it literally output the email using pirate slang. I almost sent an ahoy matey to the VP of Finance.
Oh, wow. Ahoy matey. That is a classic symptom of prompt drift.
Yeah, it was bad.
But the underlying mechanics of why that happens are really fascinating. It has to do with how AI models process information, specifically their attention mechanisms.
Right, so let me push back a bit on behalf of the listener. Why can't I just write one massive, flawlessly written master prompt? Why can't I just save it in a Google Doc, copy it, and paste it every single time I open a new chat?
Because of that exact attention mechanism. Think of the AI's processing window like a crowded, loud cocktail party.
Okay, a cocktail party.
Yeah. If you cram your tone rules, your data, your formatting instructions, and your background context into one massive prompt, the AI struggles to isolate the single voice it needs to listen to for a specific task.
It's just too much noise.
Exactly. Putting too many instructions in one place actually degrades its cognitive performance. It gets overwhelmed, applies a rule meant for drafting emails to a complex data analysis task, and the output becomes total chaos.
Right. Separating the rules keeps the AI hyper-focused.
Exactly. It's like taking the AI out of the loud cocktail party and putting it in a quiet room with just one specific instruction sheet.
Okay, so if putting everything into one master prompt is like trying to give a chef all their recipes, ingredients, and pans at the exact same time, how do we actually organize the kitchen? How do we structurally divide this information so the AI can process it cleanly?
Well, we architect it by dividing the information into 5 distinct layers. Think of them as a highly specialized task force where every unit has a single job. First is the context layer.
What does that one do?
This defines your role, your broader goals, and your target audience. It tells the AI who it is acting as.
So context is the commander. It defines the who and the why.
Yes. The second layer is knowledge. This is your intelligence library. It holds your reference files, your trusted sources, and your standard operating procedures. This is the what.
Okay. Context and knowledge. What's the third layer?
The third layer is workflow. This is the tactical plan. It shows the AI the actual step-by-step process it needs to follow to get from raw input to finished product.
Got it. And the fourth?
The fourth layer is output. This is your communications officer. It strictly defines the format, the tone, and the length of the final deliverable.
And the fifth layer?
The fifth layer is review. This acts as the auditor, checking the work for clarity and identifying any missing next actions before presenting it to you.
That structural separation is brilliant for maintenance. If that email to my boss sounds too casual, I don't need to rewrite my entire system. I only update the output layer. I don't touch the context or the workflow.
You only fix the specific gear that's grinding. Now, to make this task force operate, we need to understand the physical tool map. We have several distinct tools that serve different functions. First is standard Claude Chat.
Which we mostly use for quick tasks, right?
Correct. It is your scratch pad. Fast review, quick brainstorming, disposable thoughts. But then we move up to Claude Projects.
And projects act as the permanent context hub. That's where we actually save those 5 layers of stable rules and files so they don't disappear when we close the window.
Exactly. Then we introduce Claude Cowork. This is the heavy lifter. It's a workspace where the AI handles complex multi-step workflows. But it doesn't do it in isolation. It reaches into external tools.
Right, things like Gmail, Notion, and Google Drive.
Yeah, and the mechanism here is vital. Cowork uses API connections to reach directly into your Google Drive, read a live strategy document, pull that data into its context window, apply the rules from your Claude project, and synthesize the result. It does the hunting and gathering for you.
We also have 3 automation tools: Dispatch, Scheduled Tasks, and something called the /autopilot skill. Let's start with Dispatch. It acts like a mobile remote control on your phone to trigger these complex workflows. But let me ask a practical question. If you're listening to this on your commute right now, maybe grabbing a coffee, how does Dispatch actually execute the work if you aren't at your desk?
It's a critical technical limitation people miss. Dispatch and scheduled tasks act as a local bridge. They only function if your physical computer and the Claude desktop app are actually left powered on and awake at home or at the office.
Got it. Your physical computer must remain awake for automation.
Yeah, no sleeping laptops or the whole system pauses. Finally, there's this /autopilot skill. This is a reusable, highly focused capability for deep tasks like running a full competitor analysis. You just trigger the skill and it runs asynchronously in the background.
So now that we know the architecture of the 5 layers and the physical tools at our disposal, how do we actually snap these Lego blocks of data together into a usable template?
You start by deliberately restraining yourself. Start simple. You create just one Claude project. You might name it Personal Claude OS or maybe Daily Work Assistant.
And there's a golden rule here for the main project instruction.
The golden rule is brevity.
Yep.
Keep the main project instruction incredibly short. It should only define the core role. Just type, "You are my executive assistant for daily planning and research." Do not, under any circumstances, paste your workflows or tone guides into that main box.
Wait, I have to stop you there. If the main instruction is just one sentence, where do the actual workflows go? Setting up 5 different files sounds like way more work than just pasting my mega prompt into a new chat. Aren't we just creating a different kind of friction here?
Well, it feels like friction on day 1, but it eliminates all friction on day 10. You take those 5 layers we discussed, and you create 5 specific Markdown files.
Let's clarify that for a second. A Markdown file usually ends in .-md. Why are we using Markdown instead of just uploading a Microsoft Word document?
It comes back to how AI reads data. A standard Word document is cluttered with invisible formatting code. Font sizes, margin data, metadata, it eats up the AI's processing power. Markdown strips all of that away.
So it's just much cleaner.
It is pure, structured text. It gives the AI clean logic with zero noise.
So we create these 5 markdown files.
Yes. File 1 is profile.md that holds your role and audience. File 2 is workflows.md. File 3 is knowledgemap.md. File 4 is outputstandards.md. And File 5 is reviewchecklist.md. You upload these directly into your new project.
Inside that workflows.md file, the documentation says we need to build a reusable workflow template with 4 specific steps: input, process, output, and review.
Yes. Think of it like an assembly line. Input tells the AI exactly which Google Drive folders or Notion pages to read. Process tells it how to compare that data. Output dictates the format it must write in. And review forces it to check its own work against your standards before showing it to you.
That is very linear and clean. But let's be real. What happens when the AI inevitably generates a completely bad response?
Yeah.
Because we all know it will happen.
Oh, it absolutely will. It will hallucinate or it will use the wrong tone. But the beauty of this architecture is the fix. Instead of desperately rewriting your main prompt and hoping for the best, you simply update the specific file that failed.
Oh.
Yeah, if the tone was too formal, you open outputstandards.md, add a rule saying use conversational language, and re-upload it.
Fix the specific broken file, leave the main prompt alone.
That modularity is the secret to a stable, long-term AI system.
Okay, so with those core markdown files acting as our static foundation, let's inject this template with live data. Let's create a breathing, automated daily routine.
This is where the magic happens. We are upgrading from asking the AI for a simple, single-task briefing to building a full task routing system using Claude Cowork.
Task routing. That sounds exactly like having a human executive assistant triage your inbox while you sleep.
Functionally, it's very similar. Let's walk through the mechanics of how this routine actually operates. Step 1 is input. The AI wakes up, reads the context from your Markdown project files, and then uses its API connectors to pull live data from your Gmail, your Notion database, and your Google Drive.
It gathers the raw, messy materials of your digital life. Then comes the process step, and this is the major upgrade, right? Because the AI doesn't just summarize your emails into a bulleted list.
Exactly. Summarization is a basic low-level task. In the process step, the AI applies comparative logic. It takes that raw input and compares it against the priorities listed in your profile.md file. Then it routes the tasks.
Give me an example of how that routing works.
Let's say you get an email from a VIP client and another email that's just an industry newsletter. The system decides the VIP email requires a deep research workflow and a drafted response. The newsletter just needs a 2-sentence summary.
Whoa, beat. Imagine scaling this to seamlessly route every complex task before you even pour your morning coffee. The amount of cognitive load that removes from the human brain is staggering.
It completely changes the trajectory of your workday. But to build this safely, you have to run it manually first in Claude Cowork. You type one master instruction to trigger the manual test. And crucially, you must explicitly instruct the AI to stop the workflow immediately if any connector is unavailable.
Safety first. If the Notion API is down, we don't want the AI hallucinating that it saved our data.
Precisely. Once it processes the logic, we move to the output step. The AI generates a customized daily OS briefing. It lists your top 3 priorities for the day. It provides specific routing directions for larger tasks. It seamlessly saves an entry log into your Notion database. And it can even create optional draft replies in Gmail.
But it doesn't actually click send.
Never. That leads to the final review step. You sit down with your coffee and you audit the output. Is the briefing clear? Did it route the tasks accurately? Did it store the data in Notion correctly? Most importantly, is it safe?
What about that /autopilot skill we mentioned earlier? The one for deep competitor research. Should we integrate that into this morning routine?
No, that's a common trap. You only use the /autopilot skill for deeper asynchronous tasks that your morning briefing identifies. Do not force heavy hour-long research tasks into your daily triage brief.
So keep them totally separate.
Keep the layers separated. The daily routine finds and routes the work. The autopilot handles the heavy lifting later in the day.
Once we test this manually and it looks good, we hit the final step, dispatch or schedule. We turn it into a repeatable, automated routine. But let me ask, if I understand the logic perfectly, why shouldn't I just schedule this to run automatically right from day one? It saves so much time.
Because if there is a flaw in your workflows.md file and it fails during a manual test, it's a minor annoyance. If you automate that exact same flaw, you will just create automated chaos at high speed. You will wake up to a massive digital mess spread across your inbox and your databases.
Never automate a messy process until it works perfectly manually.
Scale stability, not chaos.
We're going to take a short pause right here for a sponsor.
We'll be right back.
Sponsor.
All right, we are back.
As exciting as this is, it is really tempting to rush into building this massive automated empire right out of the gate. But setting it up too fast leads to 3 very specific, highly destructive pitfalls.
Yes. These are the exact traps that frustrate people so much they abandon the system entirely and go back to the typewriter method. Mistake number 1 goes back to our cocktail party analogy, putting too much into one single instruction.
Cramming the prompt.
Exactly. When your profile, your tone rules, your examples, and your review criteria all live in one single massive paragraph, the attention mechanism breaks down. The AI starts mixing rules from different tasks. You must keep the main prompt short and rely on the focused markdown files to hold the weight.
Mistake number 2 is treating every workflow the exact same way.
Right. Because planning a quarterly project requires a fundamentally different cognitive process than researching a competitor's pricing model. If you use one generic, one-size-fits-all workflow for everything, the output will feel incredibly uneven and shallow.
So you need to create clearly separated, specialized templates for your most frequent workflows.
Start with just 1 or 2 core workflows before trying to build a massive system. Mistake number 3 is skipping output standards altogether. Claude is incredibly smart, but it cannot guess your formatting preferences.
It is not a mind reader.
Exactly. You must explicitly define what good output looks like in your output standards.md file. You need to dictate the exact tone, the maximum word count, required structural sections like opening hooks or call to actions, and the specific review criteria it needs to meet.
Let me challenge that because it sounds incredibly restrictive. If I rigidly define every single aspect of the output standards, does that kill the AI's creativity? Does it make the writing sound completely robotic and constrained?
It is a very common fear, but the reality is the exact opposite. Defining what good output looks like actually gives the AI the exact boundaries it needs to produce consistent, high-quality creative work.
Clear boundaries actually give the AI focused room to create.
Yes, a completely blank canvas is paralyzing, even for an AI model. A structured, well-defined canvas is deeply liberating. It allows the model to focus its processing power on the ideas rather than guessing what format you want.
Let's bring this all together. The big idea we've been unpacking today is profound. The real upgrade in the era of artificial intelligence isn't learning how to ask better, more clever questions in a chat box. The true upgrade is building a structural system that Claude can reuse, rely on, and execute every single day.
It is the evolution from operating a tool to managing an operating system.
We have some practical homework for you to apply this immediately. We challenge you to build your very first OS today. Keep it incredibly simple. Set up one single Claude project. Add those 5 core markdown files: profile, workflows, knowledge map, output standards, and review checklist. And build just one workflow inside of it. Setting up a daily planning routine is a fantastic place to start.
Run it manually. Review the output, then tweak the specific markdown files that need adjustment. Focus on improving the system iteratively over time, rather than trying to make it completely flawless on day 1.
Yeah. Just get the foundation down. 2-sec silence. Think back to that high-tech typewriter we mentioned at the start of the show. By building this personal OS, we are finally giving that typewriter the permanent memory it always lacked. But it raises a deeper, more philosophical question. As you feed this operating system your highest priorities, your rules, and your goals, and you watch it seamlessly route your complex tasks every morning, what happens when the system eventually understands the mechanics of your daily workflows even better than you do? Does it just sit there and manage your work, or does it start to subtly reshape how you think?